Ngithe ngisukuma embhedeni sengiyofika nje esicabheni sabe sikhahleleke isicapha.
This man spent, I think, approximately 17 years in prison, give or take, and he was now found to have not committed the crime.
Right now, washo nakumina ukuthi akasayithembi justice system yala South Africa.
Thatha isikhathi esingakanani uclaim state. I-long process. Sithi state udlani.
It just boils down to, did you have money to fight your case?
Sibusiso Bulose lost 14 years of his life when he was convicted for a number of crimes, including murder. He spent the next 14 years trying to prove his innocence, and it took all of that time for somebody to sit up and take notice. When he walked out of jail, everything around him had changed. He had lost a number of family members, and most of his friends had gone on to create a new life. How could something like this happen in South Africa? Of how a man could have his entire life taken away from him at a snap of a finger.
In 2004, in Inanda Township in KwaZulu-Natal, 3 people were shot during an attempted hijacking. According to some reports, one man was shot and wounded in the stomach when he went to inspect the noise. His wife assisted him to move away from the crime scene, but he eventually succumbed to his injuries. His sons, also hearing the commotion outside, ran out. One was shot and wounded in his neck and arm, and the other, as witness testimonies would later reveal, was shot in the calf after a brief altercation with one of the suspects.
My editor at that time, Matawe, at Drum Magazine, she assigned the story to me. There's a guy by the name of Sibusiso Bulose, and at that time, Bisanda Puma at jail.
Empilweni yami ngikhule nabazali. Ngikhuliswa yibona uma nobaba nabafethu kade ngiphila nabo.
Ngingumfana nje okhulula njengezinye ingane right nginganankinga nje.
Ingane benginazo zintathu. Feke kubo Nompilo, kubo Ayanda, kubo Boy Sinethemba.
One night while visiting his girlfriend, Sibusiso's life changed dramatically.
Ngangisemngcwabeni phezulu. Into eyenza ukuthi ngize nginyuke ngephezulu kwakusikhona sesengangizwana naye. So wavuka ke ekseni njengenjwayelo ukuthi phela kushonile futhi asheshe avuke ahamba ayoklina lapha nobakuza nabantu. Wavuka wangishiya endlini ngilele. Ngezwe nje nokho ingqongqoza gogogogo. Ngithe ngisukuma embhedeni sengiyofika nje esicabheni sabe sikhahleleke isicapha. Ngathi thithi ngiyakhuluma wabe nje sengishaya. Bangibamba bangikhiphela ngaphandle. So bangishaya ngoba nje nginalesikayi sisakhona namanje. Bo nala sayiyona lento ama-handcuffs le. Ngathi mengiboshwa iphoyisa lasemjebheni, amaphoyisa nje kusho lasemjebheni angibopha. Athi ngibulala umuntu. Ngaboshwa mina 2004. Ngiboshelwe icala le-murder and robbery and attempted murder and possession of firearm and ammunition.
Ngangila ekhaya ngithatha ukubheka ngangipheka bafika ucingo kuthiwa napa bembulala uSibunga le Soweto. Ngathatha imoto ke ngaya khona mengifika akusekho umuntu, abantu basekhona abanye emgaqweni basho ukuthi amaphoyisa ahambe naye.
Sibusiso was taken to the holding cells at Mjebeni police station. He was later transferred to Westville prison for his bail application, which was denied. 2 years later, he was sent to Scottsboro.
So ngahamba ngaye Westville kwaku 2004 nga-attenda ke enkantolo lo ngi-attenda enkantolo ibail engayitholi. Durban High Court theme ngi-attenda khona seku-2006 sengihamba i-High Court bangithatha bangise eScottburg. Ngagcina ngibatshela futhi ijaji lase-Scottsburg athi nginenkinga eScottburg ngihlala endlini. Sibaningi endlini ayodwa sihlala e-police station. So awukwazi ukukhuleka, awukwazi ukudla ngoba uthi uhlele e-police station nangumuntu uyathoyiletha la nangomunye uwenza ukunye ngala and i-police station yakhona eScottburg yayingekho right. So ijaji ke laside ngenzela ke warrant ukuthi ngihambiswe eMzinto prison. Ile ngafika ngahlala khona ke eMzinto prison ngi-attenda.
After 2 years of waiting, he finally had his day in court.
Wathi umseshi khuluma nomshushisi wathi accused number 2 and 3 abathola nabazibithi nemoto sebehlinzile. Wathi ubathola bengenacala emina enginecala. Ngase ngiyachaza ukuthi cha ngifuna ummeli ozongikhulumela iminute nje koqhamuka ummeli womlungu mhlawumbe ngalibuza ngecase yami awuphelanga u5 minutes fangi explain icase yami kodwa kuthiwa samsongena enkantolo. So lo muntu loyo ayikho into azi ngecase yami.
Obviously, what they normally talk about is like you get a state lawyer or a state advocate. And these people are normally from the legal aid office. And there is rumors that they say that if you are represented by legal aid, you know you're already going to prison, which is incorrect. Yes, these guys are overworked. They have got huge caseloads, but you get very, very good legal representation from Legal Aid South Africa. And then you are now destined to take that option because you don't have money.
The state's case against Sibusiso started. Prosecutors called various witnesses to testify about the alleged crimes Sibusiso was arrested for.
Wangena babuhlengwa kwase kuyabuza kuthiwa ngosuku lokuthi kwenzakalani. Wase yachaza laba baluthena wavuka ekseni ezwe imoto yakhe egcekeni la kwakhe eDumba. So waphuma umuntu emotweni lapha weza kuyena bakhuluma kanje. So wakhuluma nawe wathi lo muntu ayithatha imoto ngathi uqhumisa isibhamu kumuntu wabaleka ubaba wangena endlini ngaphakathi. Kwathiwa kungamkhomba lo muntu lenkantolo umbonile ethatha imoto yakhe uqhumisa isibhamu. Wathi cha ngiyaza kwazi ukumkhomba.
Yathi inkantolo akambheke sise kahle. Yathi hayi akuyena lo. Akusiye ngingamkhomba akuyena lo. Engikhulume naye ethatha imoto yami wase eyawela kusiyena lo mfana.
Kwangena enye ingane encane eyangena yatestify enkantolo bese kuthiwa wadutshula uba ithi ingane yaza ngizibone ngoba yayingaphakathi endlini.
I-evidence isikhathi esiningi imane engahlangani. Nawe nje not as a law expert as a lay person you can just see ukuthi lo muntu lo u-convictwe without sufficient evidence.
Kwase ngena umama wakaCebekhulu yena njengoba ethi ubona abantu bengena kamakhelwane yathi inkantolo wawubona oba wathi wabona mina ngisuka kamakhelwane ngihambe ngidubula kanje uqhumisa isibhamu ngizongena egcikeni la kwakhe ngafike ngadubula iveni ngemuva ngase ngiya esayidenda driver umkhwenana wakhe wayesesayidenda driver. So uthi ngafike ngathi phuma ke wena kuthi kwanyoka uthi yanqaba indoda yakhe ukuphuma ngayidubula ihlele emotweni. Kuthiwa ke kwase kwenzeka kanjani uthi kwase kuphuma umfana wakhe ngalomzuzu loyo esedubulekile ngoba wangibona mina uyangazi. Yathi inkantolo wambona yamazi wathi ngiyamazi umaze lapho wathi hayi ngiyamazi uma wakhe adayisa empeshenini ukaletha uma wakhe empeshenini ukwabuya ezomlanda ngiyamazi nje uyingane ehloniphayo esho njalo.
Bonke ofakazi bakhona bathi azange bambone. Umama wathi umbonile. Uyamazi. Ngokuthi esezwile ukuthi mina ngidayisa inyama vele empeshenini uma wakhe lo. That's why athi uyamazi ngobuye kambona efika nami empeshenini ngemoto.
Bese yabuzwa ukuthi ke ngalelanga leli ethi phuma ukuthi kwanyoka emotweni nangelanga afika ngalo kuwena ezofuna umthokozi yayifana ivoice athi cha ivoice ayingafani. Le engafika ngizofuna umthokozi ngikhuluma nayo ayifani nale futhi eyathi phuma ukuthi kwanyoka emotweni. Bese ngena umfana wakhona ufaya wakacebe khulu kuthiwa uyangazi mina athi uyangazi ungaze lapha athi ungazi ngithana nento mina kuthiwa uncame nje yakho yangakubo laphana. Bese kuthiwa waxabana naye athi ayichangaze zengixabane naye kuthiwa kwenzakalani ngosuku lokuthi athi ngavusa umsindo webhamu sengivusa nomsindo kama nobaba kuthiwa babekiphi athi ufaya babesekamereni kodwa umama utheni ubaba udubulekile wawa phambi komnyango waphelelwa amandla wamthatha wambeka esigqikini efuna ukumfasa engasanamandla. Uthiwa kwasekwenzeka kanye ukuthi ufaya wabe sephuma wathi mefika ngaphandle wafica mina ngimile ngaphandle kwegceke ngiphethe isibhamu uthi weza kumina wathi mefika kumina ngamdubula. Kuthiwa wami kanjani uthi sasibhekene nje kanje umbone ngidubula. Ishintshe inkantolo ithi inkantolo udubulekela ngemuva yena. But wena uphambi kwami ngizosithatha kanjani isibhamu ngisikhiphe sodubula ngala ngemuva ubuphambi kwami yebo lento leyo. Kwathiwa ukudubule kanjani wathi angibonanga ngiphula itrigger. Kwathiwa ngingeneke ebhokisini ngabuzwa agwela ngelokuthi ngangikephi ngasho ukuthi ngela ukuthi ngangisekhaya kwangena icall sekuntambama kwathiwa sekushona uMavara kwakubantu mina bengizona nayo sihamba saya khona noma ngagcina ngilalele khona ekseni ngaboshwa. Wathi umshushisi ulale ngasikhathini ngathi lapho ngithi ngilale ngabo 8 ithi wavuka nini ngathi ngavuka ngabo 8. Wathi umshushisi ke uWalters nginamanga angikwazi ukulala ngo-8 ngivuke ngo-8 ngakusasa. Ngamtshela athi mina ngiyalala mina ngo-8 ngivuke ngo-8 ngakusasa.
Complicating matters, witness testimony painted a completely different picture of Sibusiso's arrest.
Nje wathi mengabe ethi umseshi ngabanjwa endlini kaThulane esezwile esene-information ephelele ukuthi ngatholakala khona umama wakacebe khulu wabona kwasekuthiwa umama ke eze wangena futhi ebhokisini uthi umama ke wayekhona ngiboshwa wabona futhi ngiboshwa ngangiphezulu kwa-odrop ngiphathe isibhamu ngo-left ngisazi noma two left noma umseshi wathi right wathi ngangisiphethe ngo-left ngiphezulu kwa-odrop kuthiwa okay aphume umseshi athi nawe angithola ngiphakathi ku-drop ngisiphethe ngo-right. Lesi sibhamu lesi athi ungibophe naso uthi nje wasibamba ngendlela yomthetho wasithatha straight wasise kuma-ballistic kwi-ballistic unit. I-ballistic unit azangizikhiphe i-fingerprint yami esibhameni and ithi akuyona futhi ibulele.
The ballistics expert said this gun that was used in the shooting is not the firearm that was in this man's possession. So that already tells you, listen here, here's some discrepancy here. Shouldn't we be looking at what firearm was used? Did we find this firearm? Even the caliber bullet that was in his possession, was it the same caliber bullet that was used in the firearm that eventually led to the death of the person?
But isibhamu mina lesi umseshi athi hesam kwakuyi-CZ83 i-9mm short. Umufi ubulawe i-9mm long. Mina isibhamu ekuthiwa hesam i-9mm short and inama-fingerprint ami.
If a ballistic shows something else, this is not the weapon that was used. But then in court, you present something else. That evidence already, it was quite flawed.
Despite a lack of evidence and contradictory witness testimonies, Sibusiso was found guilty of murder, attempted murder, robbery, illegal possession of a firearm, and the illegal possession of ammunition.
Makuboshwa yena kwaphela yakhe imali, and then his mom wababoleka imali komashonisa about 25,000 rands or so. Uma wakhe okuyena wayebhizi nokumfinance efanele amacala thintini waba ne-stroke.
Nempilo yami ihlehlele emuva uma ubaba esefile kuyena umuntu oyinhloko yasekhaya.
Mina ngiyagula kufanele ngabusisisa mina ngoba ebona ukuthi la ekhaya azenzeki izinto.
I feel bad ukuthi nomfana wasekhaya ushone ngingekho noma ngakwazanga umncwaba naye cause washawa i-TB. Ngicela mhlambe bephuza mhlambe bebhema mhlambe ngaleyo ndlela, but kube ngikhona mina ngomuntu omdala kunaye ngangizokwazi ukumgwema, like if sukune treatment osuyidla akufuneka lisebenzise utshwala.
You should bear in mind ukuthi this case it's a high court. That was quite expensive. Awunamali. Wasebenzisa illegal aid for some time. Wabhala the first letters, no response. Second letter, no response. I think baze bamphendula on the third letter.
I-appeal yokuqala ngayenze Westville ngo-2006. Ngalinda unyaka knowing ukuthi ngine-information ukuthi i-appeal izohamba u-6 months kubuya impendulo. So ngawuhlala ku-6 months ngiyilinde ithi izobuya, yangabuya. 2008 ngabothi ayibuye ngaphinde ngabhala enye. Ngahlala ngilokhu manje ngiyinikeza ithemba izobuya after 6 months ke izobuya ibuye till kuze kube u-2013 ingabuye i-appeal ama-appeal ami.
After a lengthy process and various failed attempts to appeal different aspects of his case, Sibusiso decided to focus his appeal on his conviction. In 2020, with the help of independent legal advisors, his appeal went to the KwaZulu-Natal High Court. The court set aside the initial verdict because the transcript of the original trial could not be obtained. Although this meant that Sibusiso would be released, the findings were not a pronouncement on Sibusiso's guilt or the merits of the original case against him.
There was not a complete record of the court quo. Now, if I say court quo, it's like the court of first instance, the court that actually heard his matter. So that already procedurally would place an accused person in a prejudicial situation where the record is not available. So that because the appeal court would normally just look at the record and not listen to oral evidence to see the demeanor of witnesses and to make a credibility finding on the witness. So they are only left with the record, so the record must be as complete as it can be. And I think in that case specifically, one looks at, and after numerous attempts between lawyers, state, even the judge at that time, they could not come up with a complete record, and that was already one of the things that was actually counting against the accused person to actually successfully bring his appeal on time, and he had to do condemnation, and it took years for him, and obviously he was incarcerated, so that already places him in a disadvantage.
Ngiphumile khona ejele, ngingaphandle, ngiyajabula kona ukuba nomndeni wami noma isimo sengekho right. Okungishokhe kakhulu umuzi kababa ngihamba umuhle. Mengifika uma ngibona ekhaya nginjena intambo ihlephukile, amaplank weroof ngala ayahlafoka, yebo umuntu ayibambe yahlofoka. So nje konke kudinga imali. Bengisafuna futhi ukuqhubeka, ngifuna ukwenza ne-VIP, ngenze respond, ngenze bodyguard, anginamali. Kanti kuba uhulumeni ngathi mengiphuma wathi uhulumeni ayibamba la, mhlawumbe ngangazi ukuthi ngcono ngikwenze konke lokho ngisale ngenalutho kodwa ngizothola umsebenzi ngihole, yabo. Like angithi mina njengamanje uzothiwa ngitholakala ngenacala, angithi for uthi umuntu uclaim estate thatha isikhathi esingakanani uclaim estate, a long process. Sithi state udlana.
To sue the state, you need money. Where is you gonna get the money? Yeah, well, I think maybe the hurdle, that's where it might come in, because ungabuna mali usue state and it's as a dragger. Ukhokhela abameli, ukhokhela, with all the evidence that shows clearly with lo muntu lo, from the word go wangamela a convict. He's probably gonna win the case. I think ukuthi unama chances amaningi because there's evidence ukuthi somehow along the line there was incompetence nje.
He must just, on a balance of probabilities, show that they've caused him harm, damages, and that's where it's going to be. It's not like in criminal court where you have to now go beyond reasonable doubt to say that he has suffered damages. Just on a balance of probabilities. And one of the things is, like, he went to prison, I think his kid was like 4 or 5 years old. He comes out, some of them he's already a grandfather. So that already shows you that no money can buy that. So it's already the harsh and sad reality. I think the state in this instance should just go to Sibusiso and say, how can we settle? And not waste the taxpayers' money.
The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development says it is currently investigating the complex facts of the case to try and find a speedy resolution.
Ngoba kona sengikhulile njengamanje, angisenako okuningi, but i-future yami nje ukuthi ngikwazi ukuthola amandla ngifundise iy'ngane zami esikoleni ukuze uma ngabe ngifa emhlabeni zingahlali ehlupheke, zikwazi ukufana nawo, zikwazi ukuyiphilisa.